did this myself. I said, they're going to do Talks Plus, so I'm going to invent a musical instrument. I said, then I'm going to write my own presentation software. That's based on stuff being projected in front of me that you guys can't see. So I'm sorry that this is like a little bit dim. It's what's being projected in front of me. I thought maybe I could do it with mirrors or something, but instead you're having to look at it through a computer, which sort of defeats the purpose, but here it is. Okay, here are my slides. How long does it take now? 1 second? 2 seconds? Okay. So if nothing else works, I at least got that going. Okay, so my name's Jes. Jes519 is the thing that's easy to Google. This is my third time at Bang Bang Con. I wish this was lined up slightly better. All right, I have to look not through the computer, look at the physical object. Hang on. So I've had this idea for a while that I wanted to make a musical instrument that played hand-drawn waveforms. So I said, I'm going to do that. And I made I said, yes, I have this. I will do it. I didn't have it. But, so as of last week, I kind of do. So if you've heard of augmented reality, you usually think about handheld things like the Pokemon game, or maybe goggles like Google Glass. Those are awful to work with because you have to race the human brain to do perceptual stuff. You have to be faster than someone's innate sense of where things are in the world. And that's really, really hard. But if you project things physically onto an object, you don't have to do that. You can do it slow. So this is not a fast computer, it's just my laptop. And the stuff is actually there, so I don't have to do eye tracking, face tracking, hand tracking, anything. This is not like a totally original idea. There is a think tank in Berkeley area called Dynamic Land that has a room full of projectors over tables and sensors and things, and they have a whole programming environment called Real Talk. It's Brett Victor. Oh, there's supposed to be a video playing. I can play video on this, in theory. And so they have this thing where every sheet of paper is a Lua program, and they move it around, and it projects images onto it. And I don't know why my video is not playing. Okay. I want to have that eventually. Their stuff isn't open source, but this is just like a custom JavaScript web app that happens to run on this sort of exotic hardware with some image processing stuff in the background. So the fundamental problem is projective geometry. You have 4 points on something that's in space, but you have a perspective angle on it, and so you get a weird polygon. And there's a way to get, if you have the 4 corners, to map the thing onto what you want to do, and just transform the pixel coordinates from one coordinate system to another. There's this math overflow question. Someone was trying to do this exact same thing with projector, and I was like, that's great, I'll do that. And there was a good answer that's like, oh, just simply solve this system of linear equations, and you'll have your coordinates. I'm like, I don't know linear algebra. So I spent like a week doing nothing but watching YouTube videos. There's a great series called 3 Brown, 1 Blue that does matrices and visualizations of what they're doing and explanations, and it's like a really intuitive thing to do. And so I got it working. You saw me dragging the corners of my pink rectangle to the edge of the Go board. That's based on that formula. I wrote it in Math.js. Okay. Right, but when you're doing anything more complicated, you don't usually know the corners. So this concept called find homography, where you have a bunch of points in an image, and that image may be embedded at some other angle in another image, and how do you find them? Well, there's a function in OpenCV that just does that for you, and it's based on random consensus. What do they call it? Random sample consensus, RANSAC, and it does an approximation of a thing, and it's sort of flaky, but it kind of does it. And then you're like, well, how do I get the points corresponding to different images? There's an academic algorithm called SIFT, the scale invariant feature transformation that looks for corners and places of interest on an image. And even that image is like rotated or in a funny place, it can still find them and can correlate between the two. So I'm using that to recognize my playing cards on the board. It's great for playing cards because they have a lot of little angles and things at different shades. It's like, okay, can I use it to recognize my Go board? No, the Go board is all squares. All the angles look the same, so SIFT fails. It's like, okay, well, I have this machine-readable tape that I got. Why don't I have videos? Oh, well. That this company makes a handheld CNC machine. You sort of drive it around a piece of wood. It has this tape on it, and it knows where it is and knows whether or not to cut the wood there. And so they sell these rolls of machine-readable tape. I was like, great, I'll just put that on the Go board, and the algorithm will catch it. Well, all the little circles look the same, so their algorithm can't tell what's going on there either. So I wrote my own. There's a primitive in OpenCV called find contours, where if you get into a grayscale space, you can say, I just want the outline of this and the outline of the stuff inside of it. So I have an algorithm that finds these dominoes and counts the dots, and they're binary coded, so it figures out the numbers, and I can now do find homology between a reference image of the board and an image from my webcam. Okay. What on earth was I going to say next? Is it going to tell me? Oh yeah, I was like, oh, but the hand-drawn waveforms, how do I do that? Well, same kind of thing. I use OpenCV to find contours, find the outline of a white card, find a squiggle on it, and trace the outline. And then you have two-dimensional points, x and y. Well, y is time, x is value, and there you have it. You can convert that into a wave. So I do not know if I will be able to get this to work. Okay, and then one more thing. You have an instrument that's not just sounds. You have to have both the sound font of the sound you're playing and the score of what you're playing. And I thought, well, I'll use some game pieces. I have these sort of generically useful game pieces called loony pyramids. They're just little objects of various primary colors. And so I wrote a thing. You switch to HSV space. You can detect things by hue. Same sort of thing. Just find the contour, and you know where it is on the grid. And so I made a musical instrument. I do not know if this is going to be a live demonstration or a live debugging session. But I guess I'd like to try to find out. Earlier, I couldn't get, it's lighting sensitive because I'm doing it by hue. Earlier, when I was practicing up here, I couldn't get it to detect blue. It's like, that's never been a problem before. So I have a hand-drawn sine wave. I'm gonna assign it to yellow and see whether I can get it to play. I did have this working earlier, and I'm gonna set it up in the hallway again after this so that you can play with it. Oh, it still thinks it's showing the last slide. That'll time out. Maybe. Is it still getting video? Yeah. Okay, debug console. Come on. Do it. So one of the things about using computer vision is like everything sort of cuts in and out. And so I have it done with redundancy, like, is that card still there? Maybe? Is it still there? Still there? Okay, we're gonna refresh. No, you still think it's there. What's going on? Okay. Time to kill the node server. This is exactly what should go wrong now. I've lost track of time. Minutes? Awesome. We're going to demo this in the hallway during the unconferencing session. But I will play you some beats. Thank you.